All right, now we're going to go ahead and sum up this section, 9.1, with this last example, and have a part A, B, and C. And these are just a few examples of some non-real solutions. So remember how we introduced I, right? And we learned about how the mathematicians, they're really scared. What are we going to do about radical -1? And we learned from our little story time that they developed this notion of the letter I to represent the square root of -1. So complex solutions are non-real. They're not real. They're not on the number line. That's basically what that means. Is if you were to go on the number line, you're not going to find it anywhere. You would find it on a complex number line, which is an imaginary number line. It's not in the real world. It lives in La La Land. La 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 la. Do 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 do. Ah. Sorry guys, I think I just got carried away there. Maybe I should do a take 2. Nah, I'll just keep going here. All right. So we're going to go ahead and solve these by the techniques that we learned in this section. And we're going to find out that all the solutions, though, are going to be non-real. But we use the same techniques to find all of our answers, okay? So let's go ahead and tackle part A here. It's a little short one. So if I'm trying to solve for x right here, wouldn't we use just the square root right here, right? So since that's square, we're going to take the square root of both sides. So x is equal to, well, first of all, since we took the square root, we're going to put plus or minus. And remember, radical -17 means radical -1 times radical 17, right? So that means that's x equals plus or minus I radical 17, right? And again, we always want to put the I in front of the radical, because if you put it behind it, we're not sure if it's supposed to go underneath the radical or if it's outside. So this just kind of eliminates that confusion there. All right? And that's the answer. The answer is plus or minus I radical 17, which means this is not a real number. There's an I in there. It's imaginary. Here, let's solve for x. Take the square root of both sides. So I get x plus 5 equals, I'm just kind of do this whole move in one thing here now. The square root of -100 is plus or minus I, and square root of 100 is 10, right? We don't need to put a radical here now because the square root of 100 is 10, but we put the I because square root of -1 times square root of 100, right? So this is where the I comes from, and this is where the 10 comes from. And then we subtract 5, x equals, again, we put this number first, -5, and then plus or minus I 10. Okay, so I just want you to notice this something real quick. This is a real number right here, and this right here, the I10 or the 10I, is the complex. Okay, and I'm just showing you that so that you realize that you can't add a real number and a complex number together. Right? They're not like terms. One's real and one's fake. I guess if you want to think of it that way. So we actually just leave it just like that. All right. And last but not least, let's solve this guy. I suppose we can solve this by doing, I don't know, completing the square. I mean, I guess it's up to us what method that we want to use there. We'll just go ahead and do completing the square. Okay, I don't have the steps over here, but hopefully now we kind of have them memorized, or actually probably have them on your notes there. So step number 1, make a 1, so that's good. Bing! Step 2 is to write it as the x squared and the x term on one side and the c terms on the right. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 21 from both sides, leaving us with x squared plus 8x equals -21. That's step 2. Bing! Step 3 is we need to find that special number. So we take our middle number, divide it by 2, which is 4, and then we square it, which is 16. So we need to, okay, so that was step number 3. Bing! Step 4 is to take that special number and add it to both sides of our equation. So x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals -21 plus 16. All right, I'll just highlight that. Okay, so we added 16 to both sides. Cool beans. Bing! Step number, I believe now it's 5. Step 5 is to factor the left side. So it's x plus 4 squared. And you do that quickly by just dividing the middle number by 2. And the last part of step 5 is to simplify this right here. And that's going to 4 right there, right? No, 5. Sorry. 5. Okay. Oh, that's a negative 5. Sorry. So that's step number 5. Bing! And then step number 6, solve now. So we're going to go ahead and take the square root of both sides. And we'll get x plus 4 equals, the square roots of negative 5. So that's going to be plus or minus I square root of 5. Okay, because that's a negative 5. So that's where the I comes from because of the negative. And then radical 5. And then I subtract 4 from both sides. So I get negative 4 plus or minus I radical 5. And we're done with section 9.1.